Hey, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is your brother, Preacher Moss. I am excited and overjoyed. You know why? Because we have the Muslim Comedy Festival at ISNA happening on September the 2nd. You don't want to miss it. Prices are priced back in the 80s. Tickets $20. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring your enemies. Hey, listen, we're here to have a good time. All-star cast. Omar Regan, Moses the comedian, Marlon Hill, Athea Yakub, yours truly, and some special guests coming through. Why don't y'all go ahead and make it a party, and we will see you there. Listen, make sure when you're smiling, you did the thing with the breath mints and stuff like that, because you're definitely going to be seeing your molars in the back. So again, we're going to be at the Rosemont Convention Center. Oh man, this is inaugural. I want to give a shout out to our media partner, Us Hub. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's been supporting this project, man, and we're bringing it to the Chicagoland area. See you guys soon. All right, take care now.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief. Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is your brother, Preacher Moss. You are on the ShOUT Show platform. Hope that you're having a great day. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, we're on location at the Rosemont Convention Center here in Rosemont, Illinois, outside of the great city of Chicago, Illinois. This is our countdown to our ISNA show. Big shout out to ISNA. Big shout out to Brother Bashar Salim, Brother Azhar Aziz. These are people, man, who are just really, really jumping on board. You know, we want a very, very successful convention. I feel very honored that they've come to myself and my team, Sister Satana, myself, Us Hub. They've come to us with open arms and a great opportunity to be able to put something out there. Friday is a great night for this particular program. People are coming in. They want entertainment. They're looking for something that is funny, quality. But again, it's engaging. Excuse me a minute. Gotta get some water. Apologies. That being said, though, we're going to talk a little bit about the festival, and we're going to be bumping on our topic for today. Our topic for today, brothers and sisters, is called talking about radical curiosity. And what I mean by that is asking questions, framing our search, framing how we want to see ourselves as purposeful in this life, as number one, but also being able to talk, meaningfully talk about how we see one another, how we are engaging, all this type of stuff. So I'm going to tell everybody, please, hang in with us. We're going to be right back. You know what I'm talking about. So don't move. We'll be right back. Thank you guys for hanging in, and thank you for all your support and duas and all those things, because when we put shows together, you guys have been with us for the comedy special. Inshallah, we'll have the trailer. I'm very, very excited to show you guys the trailer for the upcoming comedy special. You guys have been here for so many things. Muslim Kings of Comedy, Hollywood, the show we just did, and, it means a lot. So not going any further on that. Just want to let everyone know that you definitely appreciate it. We're going to be right back and starting the show. All right. See you in a minute. Don't you move. Preacher Moss, this is a shout out show. Let's get it going. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Want to make sure I show some love to our comment section. Shout out in the comment section. We got no other than, you know who we're talking about. Mary Moss, better known as Mama Son. How you doing, Mom? I hope everything's well. She's wishing well wishes and greetings. Saying shout out family. Hello. Shout out SOS family. We appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, Miss Mary. And of course, want to give a shout out to Miss Ree. Hooked me up on some shrimp and grits yesterday. Ooh, it was good. It was good. I had to peel the shrimp. I know I had to peel the shrimp, but it was good. You know, so I had a little work, but once I peeled that, boy, it was on. And I'm telling boy, I just kicked in about 14 and a half minutes later. I appreciate you, Sister Ree. Thank you so much. It's good to see you and Brother Derek. My main man, Altaf, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing, beloved man? Hope you're doing well. Our Canadian envoy to the show. Always here. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock. Straight up, straight down. What's the show without? My main man, Altaf, what's the show without? Mama Son, what's the show without? Sister Ree, we got family in the building. Next up, what's going on? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, big brother. I got your text yesterday. Yes, I agree. We need to start moving on that idea. Maybe we need to just kind of caucus. When I get back in town, we can have a little talk, see what some of the ideas that you have. You know, I have my ideas, but I'm an open book. All my ideas are not the best. They're not the worst either, but I'm always down to hear what other people have to say. All right. And we want to give a shout out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to my main man, Adam Khan, AK out of Ontario, man. I hope you're doing well. My Trini homeboy. Peace and blessings to you and your family. Hope you're doing well. I think we gave you the title of ambassador, man. So you got promoted. All right. And we also want to give a shout out to our consulting producer, the hardest working person in podcasting, Sister Satana Whitfield. You know, Sister Tana does the show, but she does a lot of other things. She does graphics, she does project management. You know, I have absolutely no hesitation saying that if Sister Satana was not on the show, the project for the comedy special, it might have been an abject failure. Let's just put it out there. Okay. So before I get to our topic, I want to revisit yesterday. I know I was a little loud. I was a little aggressive, but I was honest. And what I'm getting to this point right here, my good friend from Encourage, Umar Hakim, called me after the show last night. He's like, "Brother, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And as we talked through it, he made some very, very valid points. And the point he made, and I think all of us can learn from this. He says, you know, as people of color, particularly African Americans, particularly Muslims in this vanguard, he said, you know, we definitely have to frame ourselves as strategists. Case in point, he said, you know, you don't want to let people know that you're frustrated. I don't really let people know I'm frustrated. I'm like, this is the way I feel. I don't really hold on to it later. But he said something, and I think this is a good lead in for what we're going to be talking about in terms of radical curiosity. He said, you know, there are soldiers, he said, and then there are warriors. There's soldiers, then there are warriors. He said warriors are strategic. Warriors are independent. Warriors are able to understand the environment and adapt accordingly. He says soldiers just take orders. Soldiers just react. So I'm going to encourage everybody, as Umar and I talk, that we should challenge ourselves to be warriors. So what you heard yesterday was in my warrior spirit. But there's a method to my madness, and you will find out what it is. But that being said, if I came off wrong or rude to anybody, I just want to apologize. I'm not perfect. You know, I'm good looking, but I'm not perfect. I just thought I'd throw that in. And Satan is like, wrap up. Um, so all I want to say is, maybe Bilal, uh, all of us here, whatever we're going through, whatever we're dealing with, difficulty, challenges, complexities in life, it does behoove us to be warriors, as Brother Hakeem said. That in that space that we can set an example for other people to establish other templates that people can follow, whereby they can be effective in the things that they're doing. All right, enough on that. Radical curiosity, brothers and sisters, there's two frames of thoughts about radical curiosity. One is framing our understanding, our efforts, our potential for the point that we want to have purposeful living. Now, the idea of purposeful living, in the author of his book, Radical Curiosity, his name is Seth Goldenberg. He postulates that as we get older, we look for more things to engage ourselves in terms of purpose. As we move towards end of life realities, we really bear down in terms of how we spend our time. Now, this is really, really interesting thing. We frame, if you will, how we spend our time. Like per se, grandparents spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to engage with their grandchildren. Why? They've engaged with the children their whole life. The grandchildren have a different thing. And the tie sometimes, I say the engagement, is the fact that these children are young in age and not so much can be molded, but you can talk to them a lot easier about potential because they're wide open books. As we get older, and I mean all of us, as we get older, we understand that there are things that we will do and then there's things that we won't do. That we will create our own value system in terms of why we do something and why we don't do something. We will bring into the equation issues of I lost my train of thought. Oh, how we spend our time, right? We will have talks about, when you plan trips or things like that, how we spend. The word is, how are we spending our opportunity costs? And as we get older, I know for me, I do look around at how I'm expanding myself, how I'm extending myself to people. Because sometimes you're saying, I want to be involved in something, but I want to make sure that the purpose is there, whereby it's something that everybody can benefit from. It's no secret that when you go to church or you go to the mosque, you'll see a contingent of older people in the masjid or older people in the church. And the characteristic is not that they're hyper religious, they might be, but they have framed themselves or oriented themselves more and more towards the end of life that they want to have purposeful living. In Islam, just like every other religion, the idea of your deeds, having a good balance of deeds, good deeds as opposed to bad deeds. That is about how you lived your life. Did you live a purposeful life? Whether it's service, devotion, did you lead a purposeful life? And so the idea of radical curiosity is interesting because they're saying we need to streamline our questions about everything that's around us. We need to have a procedure, if you will, that we're asking questions that get us to purposeful living quicker. Now, you can look at the news, and the news a lot of times is redundant, it's incomplete, sometimes it's not even accurate, but it's consistent. It's a filler type of thing in terms of information gathering. It's a filler type of thing. Nowadays you will get you get basically streams and streams of news coming at you. They're built on platform on top of platform on top of platform. Let me explain to you the difference. When I was coming up and I was doing journalism, the thing about journalism is it was purposeful because it had to be properly vetted. You just couldn't put out a story and just leave it at that. Your story had to have facts. Your story had to have resources, that you had to cross-check your references, all these type of things. Because when a story went out, it had to have a purpose. The reader had to somehow engage it and see there's a purpose. Whether it was news, whether it was arts, whether it was sports, it all had that type of protocol. Radical curiosity is interesting because it's saying, listen, as we get older, we should more so engage in this idea about how we spend our time, who we are engaging with, and more importantly, if I am engaging with you, is the end product something that I feel good about? And that all begins with radical curiosity, which is we start asking questions. I don't know about you, but as I got older, particularly with the whole fake news, I became a little bit of of a pack rat about how I get my information. So it's not enough to read one story. This might be the story, but I have to read three or four interpretations of the story. And then I come up with what I think is most valuable about that story. I do the same thing in terms of relationship or concept development or business. Why? Because as we grow older, we have less time to make mistakes. And one of the ways we make mistakes is that we ask the important question, sometimes the untraditional question. I would encourage everybody that's listening today, when you do a business plan, or even when you're dealing with a difficult individual, or even when you're dealing with somebody who's not a different individual, as opposed to doing the pros and cons, go further. Do a SWOT analysis on that business. Do a SWOT analysis on that person. Do a SWOT analysis on an opportunity. It's a business term. SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I do it all the time. We are here on the cusp of doing this show at ISNA. I'd be lying if I did not talk to several people, inclusive of Sister Satana, about why you do this. It's the same thing as us up. Why do we do this? What's the benefit? What's the small questions? And sometimes it's the really, really small questions that give you the biggest answers. The things that you think, oh, that doesn't make any sense, it doesn't matter, it's minute, but it's connected to things that will ultimately, if you are parlaying them correctly, if you're utilizing them correctly, they're going to help you make better decisions in business and life. So let me rehash just a little bit about radical curiosity and where it comes for me, and maybe where it comes for you, because everybody's going to have their own space. Naturally, radical curiosity makes sense to me because not that I'm a business person, but I'm a creative. Before a business plan comes to me, a creative understanding or a creative schematic comes to me about how I would do it, and you attach the business on top of it. Why is this important for all of us? Because the majority of society right now is not indulging in the meaningful or the deep probing questions about life, politics, finances, love, death, military, taxes. They're not doing that. And it's not to say that the population has gotten lazy, but as they get older, two things happen. Number one, some people have not engaged in radical curiosity. And then number two, some people want to, but the time that you didn't spend running up, the time that you didn't invest, doesn't allow you to be effective doing it. The power of a question is twice the sum of the power of an answer. Let me say it again. The power of a question is twice the sum of the power of an answer. Here's why I say that. Because a question forms in the space of potential. And when I mean forms in the space of potential, a right, wrong, a too high, a too low, but it's an honest engagement in terms of knowledge seeking. In terms of knowledge seeking, the answer that you get is an end product that frames whatever your reaction is going to be. But the process of gathering information comes from the process of asking a significant question. Radical curiosity is that we ask the deep probing question, not the surface questions, not a question about how we got a COVID vaccine, but the deep questions about the whole understanding of infectious diseases as an overall concept. That COVID just seemed to be the one that jumped out of that situation, but understanding that we had other situations, not in the United States, some in the United States, that were far worse than COVID. And understanding not only that, the long-term realizations that you're going to have to deal with in terms of healthcare, in terms of mental health. What is it that and I say this, and I want to say it because I appreciate it. I remember I was young, and there was a couple older guys that were talking. I think they were talking about business or whatever. And it was funny because I jumped in with this creative stuff, and they looked at me and said, "Boy, what the hell is you talking about?" They literally said, "What the hell are you talking about?" And normally, you kind of freeze up when the elder hits you. But when I framed my response, he was happy because I was engaging radical curiosity. We'll be right back, everybody. It's talking about radical curiosity here on the ShOUT Show. Preacher Moss. Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just got to hear Don't Get the COVID.
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now's the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
All right, we're back. Shout out to Convenient Urgent Care. I definitely needed them on this last trip. Shout out to my main man, Ijaz Saeed. So I was trying to figure out a good example of radical curiosity. Because you look in the news and you look at the news and it's like, okay, cool. Where is this applicable? Where is an example? And it's right in front of my face. One of the leading institutions for radical curiosity. Leading institution. The FBI. The FBI has been all the way back to J. Edgar Hoover, a company that has been inspired by radical curiosity. I'm not saying it's in a good way, but if you look at the depth of, excuse me, if you look at the depth of their reporting, their investigative reporting, how they frame narratives, they've been able to take down countries, disturb movements, and you would say it's espionage or things like that. But what it is they hire analysts, and this is all they do. They're predictive, they're introspective. They play out every scenario that they can. But here's the interesting part. They're still able to bring it back to something that is accessible, and they can put it out. If you look at just Trump these days, and I haven't talked about Trump in a while. I actually felt bad for him as I looked at him put out statements. And I'm like, you're putting out statements. They've already given you answers. They've engaged radical curiosity on this particular individual. And it's so in tune and it's so complete that it allows people to tell on themselves, to give information on themselves. These are probing questions that lead to a Mar-a-Lago, that lead to literally in the Black community, the destruction of the Black Panthers. These are people who ask very, very engaging and multi-layered questions about human condition, about human emotion, good, bad, in between, our fears, our failures, our successes, and asking each and every time why, how, when, and here's the last one, can you do it again? Is this replicable? Can you replicate this type of thing? So we got a couple minutes here, and I'm probably going to jump off early because I got a little cough here. But I'm going to ask everybody to begin looking at your life through a prism of we want purposeful living as we get older. This is a very, very powerful concept that we want to engage purposeful living as we get older. I'm saying this as a person, I travel, but this is something that I've talked about at length, ad nauseum, with people who've been locked up in prisons for long periods of time. And asking them, you're here now. What is the one thing that bothers you the most? Most of them say freedom, of course, freedom. But the second one, a lot of brothers said, is that we're put in a situation where we can't have purposeful living. Absolutely devastating. And the brother said, hey, you don't have to be locked up to not be able to effectively engage purposeful living. So we look at our youth these days. And sometimes I'm hard on the youth, whether it's the music, whether it's the clothes, whether it's the haircut. But I think once I get out of my own head, the question is to the youth, are you engaging in purposeful living? Because it's very important, because they are the ones who will be taking care of us. Your children will be taking care of you. They might have you in your home, and they might have you in their home, or they might caretake for you. But here's the deal. If we're not talking about that, then what is existence? Why are we existing? If not to have purpose, pursue purpose, share purpose. And it all begins with a question. It all begins with curiosity. Where do you want to be? Where do you see your potential? And I'm not asking basic questions, brothers and sisters. I'm talking about peeling back the layers. Some things are beautiful, some things are ugly about our personalities, our spirits, our families. Families are great, sometimes they're dysfunctional. Peeling back all of that and saying, this is the purest aspect of my purpose. And this thing will allow me, inshallah, to move forward and achieve potential, actualize potential. All right. So look, I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys on Monday. Please make the walk for me. This is a big show. I don't have my shotgun with me. Sister Satana, she's back in New Jersey. So I'm gonna have to roll without Sister Satana to lean on. She ain't want to get on that plane in Chicago. She just smiling. She was like, I ain't want to get on that plane. And I understand I don't want to get on a plane either. But this is what we do. So please keep us in your dua. If you have any friends in Chicago area, please let them know that we have a show. I know we had a pretty fun time with brother Bilal sent his family members out, and they had a great time. Bilal, you got some people in the Chicago area. If you tell me their names, I'll give them free tickets. All right. So listen, you guys been great. And engage a little bit about radical curiosity. When you pick up a book, start from the back of the book. Read what the book is supposed to be about. Read what that person, the qualifications are. And then maybe look at some reviews about the book. You know, good reviews, bad reviews. And then engage the book. And then see where it is that you're comfortable in terms of engaging with this information. Same thing with people. Do your SWOT analysis. SWOT. All right, I'm out. This is time. It's like you went over 30 minutes. I did. I'm out. Take care of yourself, everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.